Howdy, howdy, YouTube friends and family. Coming to you from a different vantage point today. I'm sitting out on the walking trail, or sidewalk, I guess, walking sidewalk at my complex. It's, if I understand correctly from when I was tracking my steps, it's a quarter mile from one end to the other. You've seen me at the other end in the blue shirt in some of the older videos. I may end up down there today, but the plantar fasciitis is still acting up in my foot, so I came to the closer one, and the sun is high here. If you haven't ever been on the channel before, I'm Chip and the channel is CP59Fit, and I would like to welcome you. I probably should lower the tripod just a tad. You need to be able to see my Texas Rangers logo, and I have a jacket over here which I might put on later. It's only 60 some degrees, maybe 61, 62, so it's not cold, it's not hot, but it's sunny, so I'm going to get a little vitamin D production made today while I talk to you. Today we're going to go into the history of how I got here and the future of what I'm doing. So past self, present self, and future self are all combining in this video today. The wind is mild. I noticed when I put my hands over the earbuds in the last video, it didn't make a difference. So I'm not going to look that stupid today. But thank you for joining me. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate it. There should be a subscription button, which I think is going to end up in this corner somewhere. Of course, it's possible it's this corner. It's not on here since I'm just making the video. But it's a little red, white, and blue button you can click on if you'd like. I'm going to go into that in a little more detail, and I'm going to go into my future plans near the end, so be sure to stick around. There's a neighbor going by. Okay, so how did I get here? Let's do the recent past history, starting at about the time the pandemic hit. I'll give you a little brief history before then. Since 2003 was when I left my last full-time job. That was a photography manager for a statewide photography company that was based over by Texas Christian University, which they like to call TCU. That was in August of 2003. I started a professional political event photography company at that time, and I have done that ever since. I say ever since, but during the pandemic, there weren't many political events, or there weren't many events going on, period, so that has kind of been dormant for the time being. I still have all the photography equipment. I can still take a picture. And that's coming back into play now that things are drastically changing in my life. I hope to be behind the camera, not this little phone camera I'm using here. And Beth, you were correct. My brand new expensive phone, and let me clarify, expensive. This phone I think cost me $75. The one I bought from this company before that cost me $25. So yeah, a $300 phone is pretty darn expensive in my book. Not compared to what some of y'all are paying for phones. But the darn camera won't work on the forward facing, and if I do the back facing, I can't see myself when I'm filming, so I don't know if my head's cut off, if I have like here to here, if I here to here. So I like to use the front facing camera, and there's a software glitch of some sort. So on Monday, I am sending that back in under warranty. So I'm using this old phone. Hopefully, I made 50 videos on it before I got the new one, but I've only been able to make like 1 or 2 on this new phone because it glitches every time I turn it onto the front-facing camera. I do like this company. They have a year warranty, so they've sent me a prepaid mailer. Oh, there's lots of traffic this morning. They sent me a prepaid mailer so I can send it back to them. I got to get a box and some plastic wrap. But then I have to erase everything before I send it back and take the SIM card out. So I'll still have the same phone number, but it'll be in this old phone. Enough of that nonsense. Let me get back to the history. Where was I? Oh, professional photographer for basically 18 years now, 17, 18 years. I'm having a hard time keeping track of the dates now that I don't go to work every day. But I was a week ahead of myself. Last week I was thinking I had been 4 weeks out from the surgery, so I was ready to go back to life because the doctor told me not to lift anything for 4 weeks or go to the hot tub. So last week I said, oh, it's been 4 weeks, so I'm going to run to the hot tub. And then I got up the next morning, I said, no, I read the calendar wrong. It's only been 3 weeks. But I'll get into the surgeries on the timeline further, so let's not belabor that point right now. But here's what I wrote down, and good, you can't see the notes, but I will look down at them. July of 2020, I sold the house I had lived in, or technically owned, I guess is the word they use these days, even though the bank still owned part of it. For almost 20 years, I moved in December of 2001, so right after the 9/11 attacks. I don't know why that's important, but I bought a car and a house that year. The car was interest-free, the house was not. It was like 6% or 6.5% back then, and I never refinanced because I didn't plan on keeping it this long, but I sold it in the middle of the pandemic, not at the height of the bubble here, but on the way up. I knew it would go up some more, but I was willing to take that loss because like Lynette Zhang says on ITM Trading, I'd rather be a year early in making a move than 1 second too late. And it has been over a year now since I sold the house, and the market has continued to go up, which I somewhat expected, but I didn't expect it to last this long. And I didn't want to live in that house another 20 years to recover from the crash, which I feel is imminent. And this is not a financial channel. I am not a doctor. I'm not giving financial advice or medical advice. I'm sharing my personal experiences. So if they apply to you, great. If they don't, just leave them on the channel. Tell me a comment down below they don't apply to you. If they apply, tell me a comment that they apply. You don't understand how important comments are for the YouTube algorithm. But anyway, there's 3 reasons I sold the house. Number 1, I expected a crash to come. And after owning it 19 years, I had a fair amount of equity in it, and I had a really good agent. And I'm thinking we sold it for asking price back then, which was, it's now, I think, about $50,000 more on the Zillow website. But Zillow's having its own problems right now, so they didn't plan too well. So I'm not sure their recommendations are exactly proper. But number 2, it gave me flexibility. I was planning to just live in Airbnbs and maybe travel the world, or not travel the world is correct, but it would be a form of slow travel where I'd go live in a country for 3 to 6 months, and then I'd go to another one for 3 to 6 months as I develop the income on this YouTube channel. So I'm counting on y'all to come through for me, and you are. I'll get into that in a few moments also. But I think the biggest reason I sold it is as I get older and I've had some health issues, the maintenance was starting to get to me. Some Texas summers are pretty darn hot, and after you've had a stroke, you don't want to be out there pushing a lawnmower in the Texas heat. But I did. But I also had Cruz as a roommate who part of his rent was to keep the yard up. So he's been a really good friend. We went to a concert last night. I made a video yesterday, but I'm remaking it today because I had trouble with that other camera. And I wrote notes, which I've been supposed to be doing for all my videos, but I'm actually reading them today, and I think I wrote them so I could read them. But yeah, I give Cruz a lot of credit. Hopefully he'll watch this. We went to a concert of the new Legacy project last night. I'd seen him last week in Tyler with my friend B, and then Cruz was able to go this week, and it was even more powerful this week. They're a good gospel quartet type music, Southern gospel, I guess is what it's called. They have a Hall of Famer in there, but he's getting his knees are bad, so he wasn't able to get into the church last night, so he stayed in the van. But the 3 young guys were amazing, very amazing, very good. And I know eventually you guys are going to have time to watch this, so I gave you all my YouTube address at the 2 shows, so I'm looking forward to Luke. Was it Alan or Alex, the guy I helped break down? Sorry, I'm a little older. Names come and go. And then David, wow, what an amazing testimony. Chase, I'm not sure if you got a card or not, but with 3 out of the 4 having them, you can find me. Leave a comment if you did find me. Okay, I mentioned I was planning to live in Airbnbs once I sold the house. I did go to a friend's house. Her name was Mary. She does list it on Airbnb. It was a gorgeous room, a very comfortable bed, and it had a hot tub in the backyard. No problems, except my cooking carnivore kind of stunk up the house, and that was a minor sticking point. Not not really that big of an issue, but since she'd been working at home and basically microwaving things, I think she wasn't used to cooking odors in the house. So, but I had looked at 55 plus apartments before I sold the house, long before I sold the house. My parents came down in, I'll probably get the year wrong, but maybe 2019, probably their last trip down here. And they had moved into senior living right about the time I had my stroke in 2015. So I thought when they come down, I'm going to use their expertise and we're going to go tour some of the facilities, whatever they're called, complexes in the Fort Worth area, and see what's available. I wasn't quite 55 at the time, but I knew it was coming. And I also knew I didn't want the maintenance, and that's one of the reasons you move into active senior living, is so you don't have the maintenance. So where I'm currently at, this place came open between Christmas and New Year's of 2021. So I'd been at Mary's for about 6 months. I had stuff in storage. So yes, it was less expensive than the house, but having the storage bill and having stuff in one spot, me being in another, and kind of busting at the seams at her house, I went on and pulled the trigger and got my privacy back and can stink up the house with bacon grease and hamburgers and roast whenever I want to. So I made this plunge between Christmas and New Year's last year. I'm on a 14-month lease, so it expires around February of 2022. And I will be living somewhere else again then. I'm 99% certain. While I was at Mary's house on November the 30th, I launched this YouTube channel. That first video has had 105 views at this point, and the video I put up 4 days ago has had 154 views. So things are greatly accelerating. I'll give you another statistic here. In the last 28 days, I've had 670 hours of watch time, which I think is amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A few of my friends are running the playlist, so that's helping a whole lot. But that's an average of approximately 24 hours a day. I need to average at least 11 hours a day to get monetized within, I can't remember if it was 2 years or 1 year, but let's say 1 year. Well, it has to be a year because you have to have 4,000 hours in a year, but it usually takes 2 years to get up to that point. So I'm very happy that I'm well over 2,000 hours in really 6 months, because from November till about March or May, really, I was dabbling in this. In the move at the end of December, of course, it took like 2 months before I even got another video up. But if you look at my stats, they're flat line from November till about June of this year. So we're definitely going to hit the 4,000 hours before my birthday in April. I think it's going to happen in February, and then I need to be up to 1,000 subscribers. But they say that happens when you hit 100 videos posted. So yeah, I want to have at least 10 videos up each month for the next 4 months. I might have to have a few more. I think I'm at about 56 with this one. So that would put me at like 96 if I only did 10 a month. And I don't know that I'm all posted, but I'm definitely going to get them all filmed. That's part of the plan. And the reason that video went up on November 30th was on Black Friday of 2020, I purchased a video creator course. I don't even remember what it's called, but from Graham Stephan, who is a 26-year-old multimillionaire who now lives in Las Vegas and has 2 or 3 very successful YouTube channels. He's a young kid. I think he's 26 maybe, definitely under 30. Real estate agent, been very successful in life, and is a very good teacher. And then again in May of 21, I bought another course called Video Ranking Academy, which is designed to get your videos to rank, but it's really designed to get you monetized. And so that's where I get it. Generally takes about 2 years. So if we can pull this off in a year and a half, you're my hero. Thank you. Okay, we did a little bit of a location adjustment. I'm a little further down the path right across from our clubhouse building. I'll go through there and go to the pool next, but unfortunately I thought I had just paused the video, but I'm going to get to see if I can edit it and splice them together. So let's continue. In May, I bought the Video Ranking Academy class from Think Media, which is Sean Cannell's brainchild. I don't know about his finances, but he's a good Christian young man, and he's been very successful on YouTube. They even did a Grow with Video Live virtual conference in October? No, maybe August of this year. I was still working, so I couldn't watch most of it, but they allowed us to watch the replay, so I have caught up on all that. So that's where I'm learning a lot of my techniques from him and from Graham. So I'm going to give them kudos. And then in July 14th of 2021, I bought the program called AMP Gold from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, PhD. You've heard me mention him several times. I cannot see myself, so I think it's the shadow. Maybe I should do it up here. Yeah, but I'm in the picture, so that's good. This is our nice privacy fence that goes all the way around the property up until the front where the gates are, and the rail, what do you call it, metal fence up there. So we're pretty secure on this property, at least at the back. But that's neither here nor there either. But AMP Gold has been very instrumental in changing my life. That's where I got the idea of the big leap and the big 3 goals for each month, and that sometimes you're denied success, not because of obstacles, but because of an easier path to a lesser goal. So how do we apply that to health? Well, it's easier to eat the carbohydrates than it is to not, but they're what causing you to not lose weight. But on that same note, I should probably wait till I get to the surgery to discuss this, but let's do it now. I have been adding some carbs in ever since the surgery, so that's been almost 4 weeks ago now. I was getting ahead of myself last week, but it really is almost 4 weeks. Tuesday will be 4 weeks, and I'm filming this on Saturday, what is it, November the 6th, maybe? And the 8th will be 4 weeks. And my gym memberships are paused until the 13th and the 17th. So, not that exercise really helps you lose weight. I know that's one of the myths everybody talks about, but it can help you to keep it off. But I've really found that the diet is the reason you lose the weight. And as I get more and more information, I'm kind of maybe transitioning a little bit away from the carnivore to what's called animal-based, which means you're mostly animal products, but you may add a little fruit, vegetable. I told Dr. Mabry when I saw him last week, I was adding in some bread. Oh, no bread. That's one of the worst things you can add. He said if you want squash or green beans, or he likes tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes, but I could add tomatoes on pizza, but I'm not supposed to eat the crust. There's something about wheat that is more sugar in it than some of the other carbs. But and Dr. Saladino, who I don't mention very often, even though I follow him to some extent, he's okay with natural, raw, I guess organic honey. So that was the only thing I bought out there at Canton Trade Days, was a little jar, very small, of raw, natural honey grown here in Texas. And what are the benefits of honey? Is that if you get local, because of the bees harvesting the pollen, it can help reduce your allergies. But that's not why they use it, I don't think. There's something about adding a few carbs in after being extremely low carb that makes you feel better. And it also allows you to eat some of the stuff you haven't eaten in a while. But I had when Cruz was helping me move stuff from my office, his fiance was along, and she knew of a Mexican bakery along the route because the highway was shut down. We were coming one of the back roads, and we went in there, and oh my goodness, it was amazing. So I have been back a few more times, but I'm gonna have to slow down on that because I have gained some weight back. I guess you can tell it in my chin. But if I've lost 50 pounds and I've gained 15 back, that's not the end of the world. And we are going into the fall, winter, where most hunter-gatherers did try to bulk up before the winter where food could be more scarce. So I'm trying to get into the natural rhythm of things. May not be doing it exactly right, may not be doing it right at all, but for whatever reason, I'm being transparent like I always try to be with you and tell you that in preparing for the surgery and since, I have not been strictly carnivore. I've had a lot of English muffins, I've had some sourdough bread, I've had some Mexican pastries. One was even a cinnamon roll. Oh my goodness, that was good. But let's continue on with how I got to today. That's part of it, but we're not up to that point yet. In September, I bought a course from Kristen Wilson, who's also another YouTuber. What are you learning about this? There are other ways to make money on YouTube other than just the ads. These people sell programs, and maybe eventually I'll get into one too once I figure out, quote unquote, figure it all out, which will never happen. But when I learn a little bit more, maybe I'll make some kind of program. Or I'm really leaning towards maybe having retreats at these condos that I can rent, where we can all just cook together, fellowship, discuss for a week at a time or so. If you'd be interested in joining in one of those things, comment below, or the best way to find me is at CP59Fit on either Facebook or Instagram. Those are pages. Well, Instagram is the account, but CP59Fit is a Facebook page. I can't accept but like 20 more friends on my personal page, so no need to find me there. I had a post go viral a few years ago, and I'm just shy of 5,000 friends on there, which is what I think helped me get approved for my Amazon affiliate link already. I've had the 3 sales you're required to have within 6 months. Had to have those by the middle of January, and here it's not even middle of November, and I've already been fully approved because I think I've had 4, of which I've made almost $5, but they won't pay me until I get $10 in commissions. And I only get 4 or 5%, but there will be a link down below with my Amazon and my Bass Pro Shop. But what I've learned with Bass Pro is you have to change the link like every 2 weeks because they have a new promotion. But the Ready to Relocate course I bought with Kristen is designed for moving abroad, and I think I mentioned that already today. When you switch locations and you stop the video, you don't always remember what you said and what you didn't. But when she called me about signing up, I said, Kristen, I do want to move international. I want to go back to the Czech Republic where I was a missionary years ago. It's popping up on a lot of the low cost of living places. And as I've left my job and I'm basically living off of savings at this point, I'm definitely looking to live at a lower cost of living place. But I told her, with the border closures and lockdowns, I want to be closer to my parents. I at least want to be available to my parents. And if I'm in another country and another pandemic hits or this one worsens and I can't get back into the country when they need me, that defeats the purpose of my flexibility. So her course is all about becoming a location-independent digital nomad. And one of Sean's sayings in Video Ranking Academy is to dig your well before you're thirsty. So that's one reason I started on this channel while I still had a job, so that I would have an income. But then I got to the point where I said, I got enough. I won't say I have. I think I have enough to get through a year or two without another job while I develop this and a few other options I'm going to get to into a few minutes. I actually had my friend Dr. Oden, who's a doctor of public health here, that has been a client of mine and a good friend now. We were at dinner one night and we were discussing my big leap. Hold on, I'm going to grab some diet soda here. And I asked, or she asked me, well, how much money is going to be enough for you to make this decision? She said, I was kind of forced out of my job a year or more ago, and you've got more money in the bank than I had then, and I'm doing just fine. So how much is enough? That was the first time I actually had to think about that question. And when I thought about it, I said, I'm not sure there's a number that would be enough. She said something along the lines, well, just do it now. I mean, you're never going to have enough. You want to leave the job. You want to be location independent, so just do it, is a paraphrase of what she said. And obviously I agreed with her because I went on and did it. But maybe she'll watch this. I think she's a subscriber, but she stays pretty busy off of YouTube, so I might have to tell her she's in here. Oh, and while I'm talking about my subscribers, Miss Carol, I have found out that I have Canadian and Mexican calling on my plan at no charge. So if you ever want to have a call with me, let me know through one of the other channels, and I can give you a call even in Canada, and it won't cost me anything extra, I don't believe. It said Mexico and Canada calling was activated on my account. I just wish I'd have that new. They say they'll get that phone back to me within a week, so I'll have it when I go on my next trip, which is coming up very soon. I'll tell you about that. Okay, so I bought the Ready to Relocate in September. It didn't start till October the 10th. And it's been good. There's a weekly module. And maybe I should talk about the... No, I'm going to do that in another video. Verda, Adapt Your Life, and Wonder are 3 weight management, conscious eating, is that what they... Mindful eating programs that I've been in. I'm going to save that for another video. But I turned in my resignation on October the 4th with the city I was working for. Had the surgery on the 12th of October, so you can do the math. No, I'm not quite to 4 weeks in. I am trying very hard to follow doctor's orders and not lift anything over 15 pounds. In fact, I went to Sam's Club to buy more water, this flavored water I like to drink. I think they call it sparkling water, and the brand name is Sparkling Ice or something like that. And there's 24 bottles in the package, and they're 17 ounces a piece. So I said, 24 times 17 is more than 15 pounds, so no, you better not pick that up. Then I thought, Cruz is going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to the show, so I'll have him go in with me and pick up the water, and then he can carry it up to the apartment when we get back. So that's what happened. I got some more on Friday, and it's in the refrigerator now, but I had a few Diet Pepsis left, so I'm out of Diet Mountain Dew, which is kind of frustrating. But I am in a minimalism thing, and I'm trying to cut out sodas. That's why I get the sparkling water. Nurse Amy with the city, with United Healthcare, when we changed plans, she's not with the city, hasn't been with the city for a year, but over a year ago she told me to try to transition to this bubbly water, and that would satiate my desire for the carbonation, bubbles in a drink. But it would also be low calories. And then since then, I kind of went to diet sodas, but it did get me off the sugared sodas. Okay, where were we? I've relocated to beside the pool. I think I was about up to the resignation, which was October the 4th. The surgery was October the 12th, and my final day was October 22nd. So that means October 23rd was my first day of being back self-employed. I guess some people could say being free. I would call it job independent. So that means that today I am 2 full weeks past my job last shift. In those 2 weeks, I've been to 2 concerts, visited with 2 good long-term friends, and my blood pressure has dropped to 96/63, which is the lowest ever recorded at a medical institution. When I went to see the neurologist this week, I wasn't on the anxiety pills or anything, and it was 96/63, which means to me that 2 weeks of stress-free living has been an answer to prayer. But I want to continue moving forward, though. And there's a lot of good going on. You know, I took this leap because I felt it was time to move on. I felt the job was a easier path to a lesser goal, i.e. a paycheck. Then I realized I really didn't need a paycheck right away. I could maybe get really frugal and make it till I'm eligible for Social Security, but I don't want to do that. So I have looked for some other jobs. I've applied for quite a few, and that's not what I'm going to talk about now, though. But the big announcement is I've had 2 opportunities come up that I didn't even know about when I was at work. But I want to say a big thank you and big kudos to Christina and Deb that I work with. I think Beverly had a hand in it, for putting together an awesome going away, retirement, whatever they were calling it. I think everybody at work thinks I'm retiring. I don't know that I'll ever actually retire, because YouTube is a business, so I'm self-employed at this point. My photography is a business, that's another form of self-employment, and I'm looking at a couple other ones. So I will probably continue working, just not for somebody else, for quite a long time. You'll be my new boss, because whether you hit like or comment or subscribe affects my income. And another thing, as I mentioned before, is the Amazon link. And I have this little clamp that goes on a tripod to hold the phone, but I need to order a couple more. But the problem is, if I order, or anybody orders and sends it to me with Amazon, I don't get the credit for it. So I can either order off of somebody else's link, or maybe I can have somebody else order it for me and then pick it up. But those are all pains. But I need to get a couple more of these cell phone holders that attach to tripods. So maybe when I'm in Northern Virginia, well, I guess I'm spilling the beans early. That's down there. But you know I'm going to be home for the holidays, but you don't know how long. Maybe when I'm there, I'll find some. But one of the techniques I've learned is to have 2 or 3 of these cell phones recording at the same time, and then I don't have to change locations. We can just change views if I have one over here, and one there. But I need more of these little clamps to do it. Not that you need to know all that, but now for the real future. I am planning a trip for the holidays, and it's looking like it's going to be about 6 weeks at this point, which was never in the plan, never on the books. But last weekend I spent a weekend with a lady who was my youth choir director at church from about the 7th to the 10th grade, and she had known me from much younger. And then I changed church, me and my parents changed churches in the 10th grade, or maybe the summer of the 10th grade. And then shortly after I moved down here, I bumped into her at an event I was photographing, and she was at another event at the same hotel, or maybe I just stopped in the lobby to cool off or something. But she was at an event here in Fort Worth, and come to find out, she had been born and raised in Texas, and her mother lived in Tyler, Texas. She has now passed, and inherited her mother's house, bought it out from her brother and all that. But she also has a farm in West Virginia and a townhouse in Warrenton, and both of those are going to play into my future in some form or fashion, it looks like. All of this is just speculation at this point, because nothing is solid. But let me backtrack a little bit to the night I finished work, which was October 22nd, 2021. I came home. I had mixed emotions. I was kind of excited. I was fired up because they gave me a good going away party Thursday night. Then I had to work Friday by myself because my boss called in sick. And she doesn't call in sick very often, but it was very common for me to work Fridays by myself, but she had switched to working Friday, so I wouldn't be by myself. But here she calls in sick the last day. Well, really the whole week. She was out the whole week. She wasn't there for the party, and that's why I didn't mention her, because she wasn't at work that week. I think she said, well, I'm not going to go into her medical stuff, but I think it was a prolonged medical issue. I was out the week of the surgery, and when I came back for my last week, I never saw her again. I'll probably stop by and say hi at some point. She wasn't a bad person. She was a pretty good boss as far as bosses go. But anyway, I came home, got a shower, got ready for bed. I was kind of tired. I was always tired by Friday night. After 5 days of stress, everybody's tired. So I got ready for bed, and I violated one of my own rules and looked at electronic media, social media. And I had a message from a lady in Virginia, or a comment. on the post about the going away party I'd put up the night before, basically saying, I have a job for you in the Prince William County area of Virginia. So we talked back and forth a little bit, and then I direct messaged her, I think the next morning. And by Saturday afternoon, so 2 weeks ago today, we were on the phone discussing a position with a security firm that this lady owns in Virginia. I won't go into a lot of details because I haven't even met her yet. When I'm home visiting my parents, we left it as, okay, take time to recover. When you're up this way, call me, we'll meet up, and we can discuss it more. So I'm excited about that. That would be a full-time field supervisor for a security company with, I think, at least 6 sites and about 12 or 15 officers. It sounded like it would be a salaried position with a take-home vehicle. So that's one option I have. And then when I went to see B, we were talking about, me wanting to be closer to my parents, and come to find out she has 2 properties that are within 2.5 hours of my parents. One is a lot closer, one's about 2 hours and 15 minutes in the adjoining state. I have an agricultural degree it's from the College of, when I graduated it was the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Now they call it the College of Natural Resources. But my degree was actually Forest Recreation and Park Management, a bachelor's degree. And I did manage parks for 3 or 4 years out of college. And is a farm really that different than a park? Yes and no. A lot of the concept, you do a lot of mowing at both of them. You do a lot of management of the agriculture, the resource at both of them. And so come to find out, the manager that was living on this farm had passed away 3 years ago. And she really never thought she'd find another one because the situation was very unique. He was an elderly man and I guess kind of needed a place to live, but he was also an engineer and pretty good with his brain. And here I'm coming along sort of kind of in the same position. I need a place to live, somewhere closer to my parents. I want a job that has a lot of outdoor activities. And so I was showing B these videos on Joel Salatin and Justin Rhodes. I think Justin Rhodes. They're homesteading videos about turning 6 acres, 10 acres, whatever, into a regenerative farm. So B got kind of excited about that, and we are now in discussion about me moving to the farm, which is in West Virginia, just across, I bet it's not even 2 miles over the line from Virginia. My parents live in Virginia, my sister lives in Virginia, my brother lives in Pennsylvania. So I'd be within 4, maybe 5 hours of the whole family. That is going to take a little more discussion. She couldn't give me an answer because she needs to talk to her son, who's planning to move out to the farm in about 5 years once he retires. I believe he's currently a firefighter now. So firefighter and police generally don't always get along too well, but he and I grew up together. He's several years younger than me. But I don't necessarily need to live on the farm for 5 years. And I'm not 100% certain that living on the farm would eliminate me from the security position. I think there might be some way to at least work part-time for the security company. And that's really what she told me in the initial text was, I have a part-time job for you. But then on the phone, it kind of sounded more like a full-time, but it might be where I could do it 3 or 4 days a week, live with my parents or closer in, and then go to the farm 2 or 3 or 4 days a week also. Or even, I don't want to drive, I don't want to commute for 2 hours. But anyway, that's some potential. And then in talking to my sister yesterday, I guess I had really not thought about this option, but she works for a extremely large national school photography company. And I have done some school photography in my days, and she said basically a lot of the photographers were leaving. So I guess if nothing else works out, and I'm sure something else will, or I could do that as a part-time position, help her out at some of the schools, maybe closer to wherever I end up living, whether that's with my parents, on the farm, or at the townhouse. So anyway, there's plenty of options. So that trip would involve West Virginia, Virginia, and possibly I'd go down to the Wilmington area of North Carolina and visit with Miss Carol, which brings up another challenge. Is it appears my parents may be down to one vehicle at this point because one of them's being loaned out. So if I want to do that bit much traveling, I may have to drive up to Virginia to have a car with me. B has offered to carry me up when she goes. She's a professor at a Texas university. And then my sister has offered to come pick me up, but I don't necessarily want to be limited without a car. So I'm trying to figure out all those options, but it's very possible I will stay in Virginia from we probably leave here the I think it's the 21st, the Monday before the U.S. Thanksgiving. Arrive in West Virginia / Virginia, that area, the Wednesday of Thanksgiving week. Then my sister would pick me up, or my parents would pick me up, or I would drive. However it turns out, might be that B and I caravan up, or we may ride together, depending on what transpires over the next couple of weeks. But anyway, she's not coming back till about January, first week of January. We're going to keep an eye on the weather because you can get snow up there. You can get snow coming over the Smoky Mountains to get back home here to Texas. And then again, I'll either caravan with her or ride with her. I've about given up on taking the train or the plane, especially if I'm going to stay up there that long. But I'm looking forward to that time, seeing family, friends, whoever I end up seeing. And then I will come back and wrap up my apartment in January into February, and hopefully know where I'm going to be living by the time I get back here. And then we'll get more into real health videos instead of updates. But that I wanted to bring you up to date on my thought process over the last 2 or 3 months and how I ended up leaving a job without another job, which seems idiotic in this day and time, but really, with everybody hiring, why wouldn't you leave a job at this point in time? I mean, if you're not extremely happy with it and everybody and their brother's hiring and you may want to move to a different area, it seems like all the pieces are falling into place for that. So I'm going to wrap this up before this older phone runs out of memory, and then I'm going to have to get them all transferred to the computer and then learn how to use this editing video to splice them together. I guess I could do it in 3 parts if that doesn't work, but that's not the plan. So I'd love it if you give me a comment. I'm tired of seeing videos run for a week or 2 without a comment on them, because I need the interaction with you. I need to know who I'm talking to. I need to know what your needs are so I can cater these to you. I know lately, ever since the surgery, they've just kind of been about me. But I'm in a transition period here, and there's some really good stuff coming, as there's some really good stuff in my life coming. Let me see if I can find the button. Love y'all. Have a great week. Bye-bye.